himself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on, so Newhoff in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani not very far apart at all here, but I just want to see how Alistair Haig deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
Say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order, but Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And it definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down it towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. It's now Pike going to have a go at Werrell. Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start trouble. He's left on second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
On to the back end of Phil Jocelyn, so there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot have fun. Yeah, and it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching. The Burger King machine's off into the grass a little bit there. Is that really bunching up now?
Does he have it? Medeiros is going to get it. Medeiros is going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start chopper. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry. Good evening and welcome back to the Radical Race Series Round 10 Season 2 live from Mount Panorama in Bathurst, Australia. I am James Parfitt. Tonight I am going to be joined in the booth by one Mr. Dan Peoples this evening. 6.213 kilometres, 3.861 miles, 23 turns and a track record of a 1:59.210 in an Audi R8 LMS GT3 in 2018. What a circuit it is here this evening as well. The likes of the Cut-In, the Quarry, the Dipper, the Forest Elbow are going to provide us with some absolute unbelievable action, and that long run down the Conrod straight down into the chase. Welcome in John McHutchison. Good evening, young sir. You're looking very quick in practice on a 1:56.25 there this evening, but it's going to be a tough one for these drivers, and one that I think we're going to be sitting back and enjoying. The current championship standing, Simon Edwards is in first on 325 points. Mike Bousson in second on 317, with John McHutchison in third on 314. Paul Crabb in fourth on 304, with Luke Maxwell in fifth, 279. Paul LeMay on 264, Paul Clark 227, Sergio Dela Cruz on 224, Dan Webster on 216 in ninth, and Seth Brown rounds out the top 10 on 198. George Gonzaga on 188 in 11th, Wayne Palmer in 12th on 186, Paul Godden down in 13th on 175, Darrell Taylor in 14th on 174, tied with David Beasley, Phil Glover in 16th on 168, Michael LeMay on 165, Robert Woodward on 161 in 18th place. Beyond that, we've got Phil Jocelyn in 19th place on 160. Jamie Bird in 20th on 155. Martina Ward on 104 there in 21st. Patrick Charlton on 88. Colin Wynn on 56. Dave Kirkman on 50. Andy Hugo on 39, tied with James Child. Gary Toole on 38. And Graham Brown on 36 points. David Rolliston in 29th on 30th. Damien G in 30th on 26. And Ben Underdown with 2 points on the board currently as well. But you have listened to me ramble on enough. Let's bring in Mr. Peoples this evening. Good evening, Dan. How are you, sir?
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, James. Not the usual Ewan O'Leary that you have in the booth. But yeah, an amazing track, this one. Like you said, the track record 159. However, no one crazy enough to send a radical around this track. Let's be honest, only crazy people would do that in real life, with how tricky these cars are and how tricky the mountain is. At the moment, we're well below that track record. 156.25 from John McHutchison is the quickest lap time so far. So we're smashing that lap record already. But that's quite usual, let's be honest, in the sim at Bathurst. Because, like I just said, James, no one is crazy enough to send a car like this around the mountain.
Yeah, definitely here as well. The format this evening will be a 3-lap quali. And then we go into a 7-lap sprint before we do an 11-lap feature with a top 10 reverse. We've got 15 drivers on track this evening, I should say, hurtling through the tricky circuit here, Dan. I think they're going to have to be careful up through Griffins and in through the Cutting, and then around that long quarry section before they go down into the Dipper and Forest Elbow. Could be a sight for a few incidents and accidents this evening.
It wouldn't be unusual, let's put it like that, at Bathurst. Especially here at Skyline, the car drops down, car gets light at the top of the hill. If you turn too much, the car regains grip once the front tires are firmly on the ground again. Well, we could see some drivers just shoot off either straight on, or we could see some drivers spin off into either the right or left hand side wall, which, well, could be race ending.
I think the term terminology of could be. I think it's a little bit optimistic. I think it will be if they are race ending and going plummeting into a wall, to be honest. That tricky Forest Elbow section, they've got to be careful with dropping down the hill to a left-hand braking. It's going to be difficult as well. Simon Edwards is currently on a 1:56.38, 2:29 on the clock left to practice here, guys. And you're going to want to get some drink, grab some popcorn, sit back, chill out and relax, because you've got 2 races here of what plans to be unbelievably epic action. A lot, I think, Dan, regarding the overtakes will be down off the Conrod Straight and down into the chase. I've just got this funny feeling that once they start getting past turn 2, there's not going to be many opportunities at all to overtake anyone.
You're a brave driver, I would put it like this. If you are even thinking about sending a move through Quarry Corner, because it is a corner where you can do it. However, up to Quarry Corner, turn 7, 8, 9 and 10, usually single file through there, only one line really possible, and if you are offline, usually end up in a wall on the outside. So you're a brave driver if you try it. We're going through Quarry Corner here. You can see, you can try it up till here, and I think Simon Edwards almost even hit the wall there. That's how close the margins are here this evening.
Yeah, definitely. I think Edwards will be running, looking at running his famous skinny wing that he generally comes with every time he does a race at the moment as well. Don't forget, it was last time out in Spa, it was John McHutchison, Simon Edwards and Paul Crabb in the sprint, where you're 1, 2, 3. Then it was McHutchison, Bousson and Edwards in race 2 after Dela Cruz and Maxwell had a coming together in Lacoon. And Crabb and Clark up through El Rouge had a somewhat chat-worthy conversation about the incident itself. It was a very difficult one to gauge. Clark had carried a lot more speed through El Rouge and Madion, went off to the right-hand side to try and come back on track. Unfortunately, then there was contact after that, and that is where the controversy comes into it. Should he have been left room? We don't know. Should he have lifted? We don't know. It's just not really a corner that you would lift off the gas anyway. So it's a little bit up in arms about that one, but at the end of the day, they both agreed that it was neither person's fault and everything was all hunky-dory and friends were made and not a problem there as well as we go into the last 17 seconds. Going to be interested to see what Luke Maxwell could do. He's going into the pits. There is Paul Crabb, and Paul had not the greatest race at Spa, and unfortunately for him, that is reflected in the standings of where he's currently sitting at this moment in time, where he is, you know, not ideal position. He's sitting in 4th place. He's 21 points back from Simon Edwards, so he's going to have to try and outdo him as well and get some points on the board, taking into consideration when drop weeks kick in as well, and it's going to be a difficult one. So let's see how they get on here in qualifying. Close qualifying, don't forget, guys, they are out on track completely on their own, so we'll keep an eye on what Paul Crabb can do, and then once he starts his flying lap, we'll give you a run around Bathurst here, provide a trap lap for you, so you can see what these drivers are seeing and how difficult it's going to be. I think, though, Dan, overall these guys are a little bit more sensible than if he was looking at an official race that could just go completely wrong. We've seen that plenty of times of people making stupid moves. I don't really feel we're going to see 2 wide starting from about here. I would be very surprised if that actually happens, and I'd be very surprised if anybody tries like a 10-point turn to try and get these cars round. I think it's just going to be straight toe back to the pits to see if they can move. Now, don't get me wrong, they have got if they've got the opportunity to try and turn it round in a very tight section. Not the most easiest thing to do that.
Not at all, especially when you drop down through Skyline. The run down the hill, very much a lot tighter than it is uphill. So if you spin on the downhill or you have contact or whatever, might happen on the downhill. So this section, a lot more difficult to try and turn your car, get it pointing the right way again. So especially this downhill is a section where I think you'd rather toe back to pit lane, not be in anyone's way, especially a little bit further on in the race, than be in the way and kind of cause further incidents. I think it's either one of the two, but I would go for the later one because, you know, anyways, I would be at the back of the grid, so no one would drive into me. Never mind, I would just turn the car around since I'm at the back of the grid. No, depending on where you are in the field, I think it's something you look at differently. If you're at the back, and you know that no one's coming through anymore. Also, relative, super important in that too. Look on your relative, where you are relative to everyone else. See kind of where you are.
Here we go, we'll bring you a lap of Bathurst in Paul Crabb's car. As you can see, we go down into turn 1, hard on the brakes, second gear. You want to lock up that little bit of dip that comes around Hell Corner. And now you are just full throttle all the way under the bridge. We will go very, very shortly here as well for Paul Crabb. He's going to dip down, possibly get it up into 6th gear. And there he goes onto the brakes now, about now at the brake, and then he's going to be turning right, 3rd gear, locking it in the inside, on the gas he goes, up into 4th, he'll do a little bit of a flick, and then he'll start lifting off the throttle about now, rolling in onto the brakes straight as possible, 2nd gear, close he can, and now we're on our run, up through turn 4 and 5, 6 now, we're going to be locking in the inside, staying away, straight line in that exit as much as you can, then dropping in through 7, into 8 we go, on the gas still. We might get a slight little lift going into 9 and 10. And now we're entering into the tricky section, all the way to the left-hand side. On the brakes, down into 4th, down into 3rd we go. Rolling around the entrance, down into 2nd. No, he's going to take it in 3rd. And then off we go once more, through turn 14 and 15, down into 17 and 18. Now we go Forest Elbow and on to the gas. And now we've just got this kickback, relax, and we've got this long run down the Cobbold Straight here once more, all the way down up into 6th gear, just letting the power go as much as possible, full throttle, acceleration 100%. Now in this car, we're going to go to the left-hand side a little bit, try and tighten up this corner to make sure we don't lose as much speed. Onto the brakes, down into 3rd gear, in the inside, catching the exit. Here we go, letting it drift a little bit to the left on the exit. And then we go down now into Murray's corner. On the brakes, just about 75 metres down into 2nd gear. On we go now on the exit, onto the gas once more. And we go across the line here for Paul Crabb. And we set a time of 1:57.35. That's not a bad time to start proceedings off here. And you see all the times are going to start coming through now from David Rollison, Paul Goddard, John McCutcheon and George Gonzaga, as they're going into Forest now as well. Just goes to show how tight a lap there is here. You know, it was tight on your single run, let alone going alongside with other cars.
Now, one thing I do still very much remember from my own experience at this track, James, is that at the top of the hill, the run up the hill, just everywhere, where the walls are so close and the margins are so tight, that when you do kind of brush the wall and you get a 0x, that will invalidate your lap time, which I find very annoying because it is just part of the track, but it is a rule, it is there, and everyone has to deal with it. So if you do get that 0x, it will invalidate your lap. We got that at the Bathurst 12 hours, I think 2 or 3 years ago, and it absolutely ruined our qualifying. So how much risk are you willing to take if you are Simon Edwards, Mike Boussault, John McCutcheon, all fighting still for that championship, all very close, all 3 of those drivers within 11 points. So how much risk are you willing to take there? That's also something that these drivers have to think about.
Yeah, it's risk versus reward there as well. Welcome in Paul LeMay. He's just looking forward to some great racing, kicking back with a beer this evening. So very nice there from Paul LeMay. He's not obviously taking part in the racing this evening. Unfortunately for him, he's done his arm and right hand in. So he didn't want to get on track and be a roadblock, so he has decided to take a night off and sit back and enjoy the action, which is going to be a weird experience, I think, for most when they sit back, because not everybody, you know, can understand the broadcast live. Of course, they all got it on watch back, but Simon Edwards is going to go across the line, goes into pole on a 1:57.075, a 1:56.874. He's just clocked up as well. The first man with a Crabb into the 1:56s. Maxwell goes into the 1:56s 9:07s as well. McCutcheon is currently absolutely flying as he's coming down in tonight. He's going to be on the brakes around about the 75-metre board. Hard on he goes around Murray's corner. And what is John McCutcheon going to do here? We're just going to wait for his time to come up on the left-hand side. Is he going to break the 1:56s? He has. He's broken 1:56.743 and has taken pole position. He needs to win every race taking into consideration drop weeks, John McHutchison needs to win every single one to even be in with a remote chance of being in that championship fight, as we will go into round 12. Of course, there is talks of it being at the Nordschleife, but next week it is the Autodroma International Enzo e Dino Ferrari Grand Prix, or to me and you, Imola. There we go.
Well, talking about Imola, of course, Formula 1 would have been there this weekend, but with the huge floods that they've had there, you know, the right decision to call that one off. So, well, we send everyone in the Emilia-Romagna region our hopes and prayers. Of course, let's hope that everyone stays safe there, and of course, a big thank you to all the safety workers there that well, have taken out their time to help all the people in that region. Back to the action on track. Simon Edwards is absolutely wringing the neck of this Radical SR8. At the moment in second place, McHutchison is about a tenth and a half ahead of him. He's purple in sector 1, 2, and 5. What can he do in the last sector? Also important. Across the line for the 52 of Edwards. What is it going to be? Pole position or not? Yes, it is. 56.467. Now, it can go quicker. We saw McHutchison with a 56.25 in practice, so it can go quicker. However, doing that in qualifying when the pressure is on, James, is something completely different.
Yeah, I think he will be. He's coming down into the last corner. He's got some greens on the board of sections 1, 2 and 4. Yellow in 3 and 5. He's green on the last one as well. He's going to go into second place on a 1:56.58. He has done all of his laps. Jamie Bird is sitting currently in 5th place here as well as he starts his 3rd and final lap. We'll see how that works out. We've got no Paul Clark this evening. Paul is off watching Bruce Springsteen here, and he is basically in the same area as the Grand Prix in Italy currently. And the last message we have from Paul: I'm standing in a real mud pit waiting for Bruce to come on stage. So yeah, he's in I believe he's in the same area as the Grand Prix, if he's not in that same part there. So yeah,
I hope he's okay.
Yeah, he's fine. Basically, he's just mudded it up like a kid at an old festival, to be honest. So he's loving it at the moment. He did say he'll have to throw his shoes in the bin when he's finished, though, because they are pretty caked in mud. However, I did give him in hindsight. He probably should have got some wellies. He did say hindsight was a wonderful thing. Good evening, Phil. Hope you're well. Good, thank you so much for joining us here, bud. And welcome in as we're going into the last 20 seconds. I don't think Jamie Bird is going to be able to get this lap.
No way.
He's too far back. I don't think anybody else is. Phil Glover or James Child is going to be able to get the time on the board. 10 seconds to go. Definitely not going to happen. So it's going to be as they were here for the opening 7-lap sprint race here at Bathurst. And let's see how they all get on. Bathurst or Mount Panorama? Dan, what do you call it?
Bathurst and Mount Panorama. Just what flows, you know. But if I talk about the track, I'll call it Bathurst.
Absolutely. Simon Edwards is in pole position. John McHutchison second. Luke Maxwell third. Paul Crabb fourth. Jamie Bird fifth. Mike Bousson sixth. James Child seventh. Seth Brown eighth. Darrell Taylor ninth. David Rolliston in 10th. Paul Godden 11th. David Beasley down in 12th place. Phil Glover in 13th. 3 seconds back with George Gonzaga 3.4. And Phil Jocelyn 4.2 seconds back from the leader in 15th. It's going to be tough for them guys to move forward. There is Paul Crabb sitting there ready and waiting for this start. The Irishman has got his beans on. We've got an English, Irish and Scotsman contingency with the one Portuguese of George Gonzaga, who is down in 14th. But there is Simon Edwards. We'll have a look around that SR8 here this evening, and one that I think is going to look amazing. Whether or not it's still going to be in that one piece and looking all bright and purple and black and red by the end of it, or will it have some scrapes and scrapes around it, as maybe might at some point probably tap a wall. And that's not no disrespect to Simon Edwards, but I'm pretty sure somebody somewhere will hit the wall. It's just a natural thing here at Bathurst, and it can happen to the best of us. So we're just waiting for Mike Bousson to get on to track, and Mike is on. Lights are going to be coming up very, very shortly. There they are. We're going to have the 5 reds, and once they go out, we are underway. We're 3 already, then we're 4, then we're 5. And the lights are out, and away we go here in Bathurst. And it is Simon Edwards, Luke Maxwell, John McHutchinson got a slow start, didn't really go anywhere off the start. And unfortunately he's dropped down behind Luke Maxwell at the moment, but it is Maxwell, Edwards, Crab, Bousson and Bird are your top 5. Let's see how they go on this run over now into turn 2, into Griffins we go once for the first time here. 7 laps under our belt. We're going to find out in about 15 minutes who's going to win this. Darryl Taylor has got David Rolliston battling away as well. Taylor locks up, he runs wide, he's lost positions there as well to Rolliston and Paul Goddard. Jamie Bird has gone round. Unfortunately for Bird, he's up in the air. Oh, contact there with Phil Glover. And unfortunately Bird and Glover have made contact, but it is Edwards away currently at the moment, Dan.
Hutchinson got a terrible start, James. I don't know if you can have a look back at that in a bit once the action settled down a bit, but he got massive wheel spin and did well to actually keep that car pointing in the right direction. I can tell you one thing, at some point he was pointing about 40 degrees to the right, and that's not what you want to be doing off this start. Got a terrible start, a lot of wheel spin. Maxwell got through immediately from the word go, a little bit further back. That is what happens here at Bathurst. If you don't see the action early enough and someone is ahead of you who can't, well, get out of the way early enough, and then you see it, you don't have enough time to brake. That's something very, very common here at this track. However, I didn't expect it that early up to the mountain.
Yeah, here we go now. Edwards with Maxwell behind him currently at the moment. On track with a gap of 2 tenths is coming down 2.6, 2.5, 2.4. Is this going to be a move from Maxwell? I think he's too far back this time around. Is Crab going to be making the move? Definitely not over John McHutchinson. Is Gonzaga going to make the move on Taylor? Is Taylor going to be looking up the inside of Paul Goddard? Nothing doing further back either, but it is Simon Edwards once more leading us away. We're going to have a look at the Jamie Bird incident as he's going into turn 2. There is Jamie Bird there with a JPB on the front. I'm not sure if that's related to us itself up here in the booth, but he just goes too hard, too fast. He tries to get out of the way, and here comes Phil Glover. Boom! There, and now, unfortunately for that, that is how they made contact there as well. But it was a start from Simon Edwards and Maxwell as they're going down into turn 2 once more here for lap 2. And it seems to be a little bit of a breakaway between Edwards, Maxwell, McHutchinson and Crab here, Dan. And I think Bousson's going to have to try his hardest to stay in contact with him.
With 7 laps, this race shape is going to be flying by. And Maxwell is under immense pressure from McHutchinson behind. He wants to get past because he knows that, like you said, to even remotely have a chance of the championship with the drop scores, he needs to win every round. He's not doing that at the moment. McHutchinson in P3, 3 tenths back under pressure also from Crab behind him. He might send a move at Skyline. Not going to do that. Smart man. 7 laps and you want to be in a good position for race number 2. You don't want to absolutely ruin your race and then start at the back for race number 2.
Yeah, if they can get into the top 10, it's obviously a top 10 reverse for the feature. And currently that is taken by George Gonzaga. There's a contact on the wall by McHutchinson. I told you somebody's going to do it. He's now put himself under pressure from Crab. Crab looks like he may have hit the wall as well. He's got a bit of a bent left rear wing there. So his rear wing is up in the air, but McHutchinson's getting the draft off Maxwell. Maxwell's getting it off Edwards, and Crab is getting it currently on McHutchinson. No moves going down whatsoever. Wouldn't here at all. Seth Brown and James Child, they're almost making the move there. Brown is not going to make this move either, and unfortunately not going to make it through. Gonzaga is just gone past Paul Godden, and it could be Godden on pole for the feature race here as well. How is he going to cope with that? Not used to being up the front of the field is Paul, but he's going to try and have a comeback round Murray's corner here for the final corner of the race. Up in the air for Paul Godden, takes a big lumber curb, and he's got David Beasley chasing him down now as well, and it's all getting tight further down the field. But it is back up front with Edwards, Maxwell and McHutchison, and Crab, as they were, is turning into a little bit of a draft fest going down that Conrad straight there, Dan. Nobody seems to be able to make a difference on the person in front.
And it seems like Maxwell is not gaining on Edwards in any way down the Conrad straight. You said it earlier on, runs very low wing all the time, Simon Edwards, and that's paying off here again. However, don't know if I wanted to risk it around this track. Of course, he's used to driving with very low wing. The rear of that car will be very loose throughout this race and will get worse and worse once the tyres wear off. Crab is all over the back of John McHutchinson. He's about 2 tenths back. He can't make the move here. can Paul Crab. Also, that bent rear wing is not going to help him in a straight line in any way. As you can see, dropping back a little bit once again. You don't want to be too close coming down the hill. Buson, however, is just hanging on to the slipstream from Crab. Edwards once again turns on to the Conrad straight. Here is Edwards. Look behind, 2.5 tenths, a bit more for Maxwell, but he won't be gaining too much with the wing that Edwards is running at the moment. He will start to gain now, but is it enough to make a move down into the chute?
No, definitely not. I don't think he's going to get it down into the chase chicane. Maxwell's going to pull out, make a move that he looks like he's going to. McCutcheon, Crab at Buson, all as they are. Seth Brown has got James Child in front as well. He's not going to be able to make the gains either, unfortunately. It seems that Skinny Wing is king currently at the moment as well, and that rhymes, and I'm a poet and I don't know it, so check me out there.
You should have that on the rear wing though.
Yeah, Skinny Wing is king. Absolutely unbelievable. I'll get him on that, see if he can put it on there. He's got space, he's got nothing else on there. Sure,
yeah, exactly.
He'll be
got no sponsors there, so put it on there.
Yeah, and see how he gets on, but I don't think. The problem is now, is if this is a draft-infested race, and Edwards has got no wing, I'd be surprised if he's even got any, to be honest, because his speed down that straight looks unbelievable. Yeah. And for a man that's at the front with no draft, he's now managing to stay ahead of it, Maxwell coming out of the Forest Elbow. So I'd be very surprised if he's got anything currently at the moment. But it is McCutcheon now. They've grouped back up again. They've come back together once more. And it is literally very tight. It's about 1.3 seconds, if that, back to Paul Crab. And Bruson's just dropped off a little bit on through the mountain section, so he's back out to 1.7 from the leader at the moment as well here, as they're going into the dipper once more. Down through they go. That very tough corner to carry pace on and speed on. It's one that I fear is really quite straightforward for me. I pray to God on the way up through the mountain, and I thank him when I make it out of the Forest Elbow without hitting a wall, because I tell you what, any other time I don't do that, I always end up crashing.
That must be a busy time for you then, James, coming through 12 hours of Bathurst, praying every time you go up to Skyline. However, McCutcheon might need to pray that Paul Crab is not going to get him hit. He's all over the back of him.
Yeah, Crab now is going to make the move to the left-hand side. McCutcheon goes defensive. Crab can't get through. It's like Paula May said in chat, I don't think any of the top 5 are running wing at all. I would be very surprised if anybody has got anything on. These drivers can and will cope with the car, and if it is loose, and they do a stellar job as well. It seems to be Edwards' tradition that he doesn't run with a wing on this car. It's just, well, he just said it doesn't, you know, I can drive it without it, so I don't really worry. And as he's gone round turn 1, Buson on a 156.436 there. Little bit of a movement up front from Edwards as he's trying to break the toe from Maxwell as best he can. Manages to settle in once more to go up under the bridge. Are we going to see Maxwell pull out? Nothing doing into turn 1 again, Dan. It's now almost becoming what we sort of call, when we're watching Formula 1, the DRS chain here, but we haven't actually got DRS. We've just got 4 drivers with 0 wing, and I think that's going to be the story unless somebody makes a mistake coming out of Forest Elbow. The other people behind don't seem to be able to make a move.
Well, this is kind of Monza spec cars. Look how close Edwards is to that wall. Unbelievably close, and I think someone might have even touched it there. That might have been John McCutcheon, who for the second time this race brushes the wall on the exit of turn 6. Coming down the hill once again. McCutcheon, I think, is happy to stay in third. If he can make a move on Maxwell, then he might be able to get a move on Edwards too, but it doesn't seem like. We've said it so many times already, because it is kind of the story of this race. It doesn't seem like Edwards is going to be under any attack from Maxwell.
No, I think he's being saved here, Dan. I've got to be honest, it just seems to be a one-line, top 4 places. Even Buson's closed in now. He's 5 tenths back. Now he is at the back end of this chain. He can make it. He's going to make it, be able to make it 5 battling. But it's not really a battle when you're not actually going anywhere. You're just kind of in uniform doing your thing. It's almost hot lapping, I suppose, but just with other cars around you. Because if you're not making a mistake, the guy behind's not making a mistake. You're all not any quicker. You're all doing 156.8s, 156.7s, and you're not really going anywhere. You know, it's such a tough one because for us, we'd want to see them backwards and forwards, swapping over, you know, swapping positions and going again. But they just can't seem to get anywhere. You know, they're just kind of stuck in a line almost, which is kind of, well, not really what we want to see, I suppose.
Just to quickly explain to the people at home what the difference is, since we're into the mountain section now and no one is going to be able to overtake here. The difference between a train with everyone on, let's say, 10 degrees of wing and everyone on 0 degrees of wing, the slipstream kind of takes away the effects of the rear wing. It kind of takes away the drag that it creates. Now, if you're running 0 degrees of wing, then the slipstream has less effect of that wing to take away. So the slipstream is less effective for the second car in line. So that is why Maxwell is now struggling to kind of get past Edwards. And that is the reason why at tracks like Monza, the slipstream effect is, it's so much less apparent than a track like Brands Hatch or something. John McHutchinson absolutely on the edge of grip there, and I think James at some point even touched the wall again. So I think lucky to be able to continue this race.
Yeah, I think he's doing a fine job. I am a little bit worried that there's certain parts of the mountain where it's being registered that they're making contact, because we're seeing sparks and all that fly off as they're on the left and right hand side. But when you look at the car, there's actually not any damage whatsoever there. So Maxwell closed up to Edwards, Crab closed up to McHutchison. Crab is looking tasty in fourth place, but nothing doing at the moment. Seth Brown here, still chasing down James Child, and he's been staring at the back of James's wing now for 6 laps as we are going over the line for the final lap of the race here. Once more at Bathurst, and it is as they were and continually will be. Seth Brown and James Child are as they were. Seth Brown's not been able to make an insight into Child's race, and unfortunately for him, he's just staring at the back end there. It's almost like staring at a bunch of oranges. Nothing's happening, and that's what you're looking at constantly. It's not good. Edwards here to the right hand side. He has got defensive. Maxwell tries the outside of turn 2, and he's not going to get through here either as well. He looks up and trying to get a better run up into the cutting. I don't think he's going to be crazy enough to make a move, and it's all going to be on this last lap now. This is it. This is it. Going out to Forest Elbow down the Conway straight. That's it.
If he can stay this close, if he can stay within 2 tenths, he has a good shot at taking Edwards. However, Edwards almost eliminated himself from this battle, so he needs to stay within those 2 tenths, which is really difficult, especially down the hill, because you kind of need to predict what the car ahead of you is going to be doing. You're going to see that time climb, and it has dropped to about 3 tenths. That's not enough. Maxwell needs to be closer. Needs to be closer to Edwards to even remotely have a chance of making a move. However, we don't know if he's been holding back all these laps before. This is what is going to decide this race, James.
Yeah, here we go for the final time down the Conrod straight now. The gap is coming down 2 tenths, 2.5, 2.3, 2.2. He's not going to be close enough. He needed to have that 2-2 coming out. If he's going to dive him, it's going to be a big old one going down into the chase. Maxwell is closed right up to the back of Edwards now. He's looking to the left-hand side. Crab's not making moves either. He didn't get him. This is it. I think it's going to be all Edwards' race here for the sprint on this first run out here. 7 laps to go. Maxwell's pulled over. Or he's gone defensive from McHutchinson. He went defensive as it cost him across the line. McHutchinson slid. Oh, McHutchinson in the final corner. It is going to be Simon Edwards makes it through in the lead. Luke Maxwell second, Paul Crab third, McHutchinson fourth, Bousson fifth there. And unfortunately, Seth Brown did manage to get past James Child. And I got a funny feeling this is a run down into the chase. It is. Well, he got him into turn 1. He got him before the lap started.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, Child went in hot and unfortunately allowed Seth Brown through. But it is Edwards here as well, making that move. Phil Jocelyn is sitting down in 11th place at the moment. Paul Godden down in 12th with Darrell Taylor will be the last man across the track currently here. But Paul John Maxwell.
It says on the side of that car.
Sorry?
Eat bananas, it says on the side of that car.
Yeah, mate. Banana's good for you.
Yeah, I know. That's a cool livery. Never seen that one.
However, did you know, I found this out the other day, for the first time ever, if you've got diabetes, right, bananas are not what you should be eating.
No, because there's a lot of sugar. I think it's brown kind of sugary-ish things in bananas.
Yeah.
Is that the reason?
I believe so. My mother-in-law has eaten loads of bananas and now, unfortunately, has been told not to. So there we go. But it is Simon Edwards out in front in your winner. Luke Maxwell second. Paul Crabb third. John McHutchison fourth. Mike Bousson fifth. Seth Brown sixth. James Child seventh. David Rolliston in eighth place on his return here. George Gonzaga in ninth. David Beasley 10th. Phil Jocelyn 11th. Paul Godden down in 12th with Darrell Taylor 13th. Phil Glover 14th. And Jamie Bird down in 15th place. Well, okay, so that's race 1. We're now going to have race 2. It's going to be a different scenario, top 10 reverse. So David Beasley's going to be on pole. That's going to be exciting for him. Either that or he's going to have a mass panic and not actually go anywhere, which is going to cause a problem. But, again, if that draft line's going to take an effect, Dan, are we going to see much overtaking in the feature race?
I think we might well see the same thing that we saw in race number 1. Now, the good thing for race 2, I would say, is that it is a reverse top 10. So we're going to revert the top 10 from race number 1. We're going to put them in reverse, and the person who, finished 10th is going to be in pole position. That's pretty easy. But, yeah, that's going to provide us with some good overtaking action. I think everyone at home got that anyways. Don't know why I was explaining a reverse top 10 that, but
There we go. Yeah, get yourself a shovel. See how far you can dig that hole, mate. Keep going. see what happens. Oh, my God. Oh, dearie me. I'm in trouble here, Paul. Help me out. Cool, blimey. You should have jumped in the booth, mate. As down there getting a little bit of a way with himself. We're covering out of the reverse grids, of course. But we have finished the warm-up. We will be getting onto the grid very, very shortly. So let's see how it all works out here as well. But here is the grid for race 2. And it is going to be David Beasley, George Gonzaga, David Rolliston, James Child, Seth Brown, Mike Bousson, John McHutchison, Paul Crabb, Luke Maxwell, and Simon Edwards round out the top 10 here. And then on we go to Phil Jocelyn, Paul Godden behind that in 12th. Darrell Taylor, Phil Glover, and Jamie Bird down in 15th place. Once again, poor Dave Beasley is going to be at the front of the line here. And, it's going to be exciting for him. What do we reckon, Dan? Bit of panic in David Beasley?
I don't think so. I think he's competent enough to lead down in the turn number 1. However, we saw the start that McHutchison got in race 1. If he does that, then he might well be overtaken by Gonzaga and Rolliston behind him. So he needs to watch out. He just needs to get off the line well, because the run down into turn 1 is not that long, actually. So if he can get into Hell Corner first, then he probably will get out of it first too.
Yeah, right. David Beasley, here we go. The lights are going to be on once more here. It is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we are underway here again for race 2. And it is the George Gonzaga off the line. Beasley didn't go anywhere, but Gonzaga did. He got an absolute flyer with James Child sitting in second. Bousson is all the way up into third. McHutchison fourth. Rolliston fifth. Edwards sixth. Brown seventh. Crabb has made a move as well. He's just about to overtake Seth Brown on the inside there. But it is Edwards making gains. He's up 4 already. George Gonzaga leads us away. James Child there loses a place to Mike Bousson going round turn 1. Are they going to be battling out side by side, coming up into the cutting? Bousson's hanging out that outside line. Child on the brakes. Bousson's run round. Child cuts in front of McHutchison. Bousson makes a mistake as well, going in through the cutting. They're side by side again with Child and Bousson. Not ideal for the first time here this evening, running up through turns 7 and 8. And it is Bousson, McHutchison as well. Brown's gone round. Unfortunately for Brown, he has made a mistake and has jumped all the way back to 14th place currently at the moment. But Dan, everybody seems to be through cleanly apart from Seth Brown.
Well, David Beasley too. One thing I didn't expect was that he was going to be 14th coming into Griffin's Bend. Started first, by the end of turn 2 was in 14th. A terrible start for Beasley. However, already fought back 1 position. Now up to P13, but a terrible start, let's put it like that. And I think that is still put mildly if you say terrible start, because Beasley did not go anywhere.
No, he literally did not go anywhere here. We'll have a quick look Wait for John McHutchison to see what he's going to be doing, if he's going to make a move over. Buson going down into the chase. Paul Crabb's trying to make a move further back as well. There is Crabb with Jocelyn. He's just gone past Bill Jocelyn. Jocelyn's going to look up the inside again and not going to make that move. But it is there for Paul Crabb. Darrell Taylor's got Paul Godden and David Beasley behind him. We'll have a look back at Beasley's start very, very shortly. Buson is still on the back of James Child. James Child has got some pace in this car, and he has shown his pace, but he unfortunately as well has also been a little bit more inconsistent than the guys behind him. And Buson once more trying to make that run up, down the straight into Griffins here. And is he going to be looking at that inside line once again? Is Child going to try and defend him away this time? He's not got a defence. The door's wide open. Is Buson going to be brave enough? Here he goes once more. He is the man from Froome in Somerset. Makes that move. McHutchinson's now running side by side with Child. I'm not entirely sure that is the best way to go. Rolliston also gets past James Child as well. Child now has dropped down the order faster than an elevator with no brakes, unfortunately. He's now going to lose a place to Edwards, because he's also going to try as well. Edwards sucks in once behind him, but I don't think it's going to be long before that is done as well for James Child there. Just put no defence up and unfortunately got off line there, Dan, and lost an absolute bunch of positions.
Now this is going to give Maxwell a chance to try and get past Edwards soon, but it's going to be interesting to see how quick is Edwards going to be able to get past Child, because the wing that those guys are running, I don't think Child is running to. He might be running a setup that is a little bit more stable at the rear. However, we're going to have to see that down the straight. Maybe all these drivers are running exactly the same setup. We don't know. That is something that only the drivers will know. He is about 3 tenths back. And let's see how quickly he's going to be gaining some slipstream. And whether for Child ahead of him too, because Rolliston is only about 4 or 5 tenths ahead of him.
Yeah, you see the gainers on the left-hand side. McHutchison and Buson up 4. Edwards up 4. Bird is up 6 currently at the moment. Child's down 1. Edwards can't get near him down the run from the Forest Elbow down into the chase. He's going to have to sit there once more. He needs to try and make that move before they get into turn 1. And that's where Child seems to struggle in the run out of 1 up into 2. And everybody seems to sweep past him here. Gonzaga with the fastest lap there, just to be taken by McHutchison on a 1:58.464. Maxwell's trying to get down onto the back of Edwards, keeping Edwards honest. Edwards has got Child. Child once again cannot bury turn 1, and is very slow out. He's got to look if he's going to defend. He's got to go over to the right-hand side to try and defend. Don't leave that door wide open once more, because you're going to lose 2 again. Edwards this time pulls out once more, goes up the inside of Child. Is Child's going to get bullied out once more? Maxwell's going to follow him through. And again, Child just cannot bury turn 1 to be able to get that run out of 2 down. It just seems to be an absolute sitting duck by the time he comes out of 1. And now, just for good company, he's got the Irishman of Paul Crabb, who knows he needs to be making that move forward. Gonzaga's got a 1.1 second gap at the moment out in front, doing an absolutely stellar job there, the Portuguese guy, with Edwards now trying to chase down David Rolliston. But poor James Child, well, he's not loving turn 1 whatsoever.
No, I don't know what that it's down to. It seems to be the exit that he's struggling with most, maybe on the brakes, just a tiny little bit too late. And just not getting the run out of the corner. However, we can sit and talk about it here all day, but I think Child himself is the person who knows best what he's doing wrong there. However, to change that, if you're used to something already so much, is very difficult. And now Paul Crabb is going to have a look at him. I don't think he has a lot of slipstream from Maxwell ahead of him. Back up about a second, so now Crabb is going to be able to gain and gain and gain. However, Crabb on the left-hand side of that car, driver's left, has a bit of damage at the rear, so that's not going to be helping him out either. However, Crabb is now all over him. He's going to make that move down the inside, and he's dropped 2 once again. I think James is also, especially that first move, James, it was a case of trying to bail out of that move together with McHutchison, but doing it too much, he slowed down too much, and that allowed Dave Wallace and Simon Edwards all to get through. And so he tried to be nice, bail out of that move, but instead of going single file through that, he kind of allowed other drivers through too.
Yeah, Gonzaga's done the same thing. I don't understand why they're not fighting for the position. Yes, they're not in the championship. I get that. but rolling over and getting your belly tickled as if you're a puppy with your legs in the air ain't racing, surely. There was no defence from Gonzaga there whatsoever. Childs, unfortunately, when he loses one, he loses two. That just, I'd want to be a Mike Tyson, or I don't know, Frank Bruno. It's like Frank Bruno going into a ring with Mike Tyson. We've seen it once, and unfortunately Bruno got knocked out, but, he at least put up a fight, and there's just been nothing there, and I don't understand what the situation is. We've seen Gonzaga fight before, and he can fight, but he just didn't. He lifted and allowed Buson and McCutcheon through, which just seems very bizarre, when I think Rolliston's putting up more of a scrap. He's more of an old-timer. He's more of an Evander Holyfield. He's standing in the ring. He's going toe-to-toe with these guys and putting up that defense. But just to roll over, I don't get it. Surely the point of it is to go and try and stay there. Edwards, again, it looks like Rolliston is trying to run him down the inside here. Oh, that was close. Edwards is going to be through, just not Maxwell this time, but I'm so confused on the sense of what they had, especially when Gonzaga, look, Rolliston's at least trying to come back up, trying to put a defence up. Don't get me wrong, he's just completely chuffed that corner, and that's going to allow Maxwell to try and get up the inside of him into hell. But he's at least tried a little bit longer. That's contact from Maxwell and Rolliston.
Well, he got knocked out too, I think.
Yeah, Rolliston has just been knocked out. Poor Evander Holyfield has just lost it there. And unfortunately for Maxwell, he's just unfortunately took, I was going to call him Holyfield then as well. It just took Rolliston, unfortunately. And it looks like Maxwell's just lost 2 places.
Getting into boxing a bit too much. If you want to book your appointment with James Parfitt Broadcasting for your boxing match, it's now available too. We have weddings, we have boxing, we have racing, we have everything.
I know, we did do wedding commentary actually as well. And the interesting thing about that, I've got to put voiceover commentary on the guys' engagement video. So that's going to be a job for me later on, to see how we're going to be able to manage that one. I think that's going to be an interesting turn to see what works out there. Boosting out in front with about 4 attempts up the road at the moment. It's a lot closer than it was in race 1. Crabs on the back of Bird. Edwards up in 6 places into 4th with Gonzaga in front of him. I'm hoping Gonzaga puts up a little bit more of a scrap over Simon Edwards. He's got 6 laps to try and do it here. Darryl Taylor is fighting down the order with Phil Jocelyn. They're coming down into the Forest Elbow. So this is going to be a rundown Conrad for these two. Taylor's in that 2.5 tenth window, so it's possible we might be able to make that move if he can get it below 1 tenth before they get to the Jim Beam Bridge, which he did do. This could be Taylor making a move over Jocelyn here. Taylor's got the gap right the way down. He's taken the inside line into the next corner, of course, to kink halfway down, and it is a job done for Darryl Taylor before he even gets down into the chase now. Jocelyn may have been looking at the inside, didn't get that done there as well. David Beasley is also with Phil Glover. Oh, there's David Rolliston sitting in the pits, unfortunately, with bent wing. There is Phil Glover. David Beasley is out, unfortunately, at the moment, but it is Gonzaga now, and if we look behind him, there's Edwards once more. And the last thing we really want to see from Gonzaga is him rolling over and letting Edwards through. Come on, sir. Put that inside line up for a battle. Make him run round the outside into turn 1. Run him as far in as you can. Run it in deep. Open up the steering and give him... or do that. Either way.
James,
I'm disappointed.
I'm happy with it.
No, I'm not. It doesn't matter if you're fighting in the championship at the top or if you're fighting at the bottom. Put up a fight, and to lift and allow it. I don't know.
Yeah, I get what you mean, but then also you have to kind of acknowledge the fact, 10 rounds into a championship, that some people are just in a different league, and I agree with the fact that you don't have to pull over that easily. But, 10 rounds into a championship, you kind of feel that certain people are not worth fighting with. And I think it actually is gaining Gonzaga time, just letting them pass, because he's not fighting anyone. He's not losing any time fighting over a position with people that he knows he's eventually going to lose it to anyways.
Yeah, but you've still got to put up a fight. If you're a journeyman, you don't go into a ring with Mike Tyson and think, right, after one punch he's going to knock me out here, so I'm just going to roll on the floor as soon as I get off my stool. You know, the bell ain't going to ring and he ain't going to fall over. You've got to put up a little bit. It doesn't matter if they're leading the championship or not. Can't just let them have the points, someone at fault, but clearly I don't know what I'm talking about. All these broadcasts are done and I ain't got a Scooby-Doo, but McCutchinson has cleared Buson down the Conrod straight there as well. Jamie Bird has now got Gonzaga in front of him with Paul Crabb and Luke Maxwell behind. I'm hoping these two, you know, come on guys, come on, please, for my own sanity here before the end of this 11-lap race. Put it up, scrap with each other, I don't know, have a go at each other. James Child unfortunately has lost order positions, he's down in 8th place at the moment. When he lost 1, he lost 2 unfortunately for Child there, and has now dropped all the way down the order in 8th. I'm hoping you can understand what I mean in chat there, and I'm not, you know, talking too much waffle. Gonzaga now looking.
Oh yeah, well that's at least, let's be honest.
Wide. Sorry, they're down. Maxwell went wide and Crabb went through. Crabb is now into 6th.
Had to make the move there. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
that's a mistake there from Gonzaga. That's not I let him through on purpose. That's a mistake there from Gonzaga, and that has lost him a lot of time, because that's not the way to let someone through. The way that I would look at it, by the way, coming back to your boxing reference, is putting me and Mike Tyson in his prime in the ring. It's a fight not worth fighting because you know the outcome of it. That's kind of how I look at a battle between McCutchinson and Gonzaga. You know at some point that they're going to go through anyways, so why would you fight it and lose time over it? I hope that has helped you a bit, James.
No, it hasn't helped me whatsoever.
So you would put me with Mike Tyson in his prime in a boxing ring to see who wins?
No, I would literally expect you to get. I would expect the bell to go. You get off your stool and just fall over on your own. You know what I mean? And then lay there for 10 seconds. So you know what I mean? That's what I would expect from you. I think you would literally go bing bing, come out, oh, down on the deck. You know, as if somebody knocked you out with air. But I'm just saying, right? Phil across the pond. If you don't have a Scooby-Doo, it's Dan, Shaggy, though, or Daphne, or Thelma. Well, I'm not sure. You make up your own mind on that one, Phil. But what I'm saying is you're in a race. You're not, you know, it's like me being in a top split because I've joined early on in the day. I'm not going to roll over and let this 6KI rating go. I'm going to put up a fight and I'm going to defend my line and I'm going to make him work for it. You know, at the end of the day, it's all about being able to position your car and where you're going to put it and racecraft and stuff like that. I'm certainly not going to be like, come on, mate, tickle me chin and I'll roll over. You know what I mean? It ain't happening. And I've done it before in Brazil where I was exceptionally slow, but I love Interlagos. And I literally defended the lead for 11 laps consistently there and, you know, managed to get, oh, okay, Bird, give it, all right, mate, be careful. And I defended the lead for 11 laps until I had to pit. And, you know, at the end of the day, you've got to defend. You can't just give them the championship. It doesn't matter if you're first, last, 10th, 12th, 25th, 33rd, whatever. Put it up, you know.
I like your fighting spirit.
Yeah, why not? You haven't just spent all week practicing at a track and then letting everybody else through it. It ain't cricket, and you know it just don't work out. But as I say, maybe I don't have a Scooby what I'm talking about at the end of the day. But me personally, from Gonzaga and Child, I would have been building the walls and, you know, defending hard as anything and maybe taking a tactical lesson from Jose Mourinho about parking the bus, because at the end of the day, let's face it, every team he manages does that anyway. But at the end of the day, I still would have put up a scrap. I still would have given him a bit of grief. But, hey, that's just me.
I love James's fighting spirit, you know. If I would see Daniel Juncadella in a Mercedes behind me, Mercedes GT3, which I know he's mighty in, and if by any miracle I'm driving that too against Daniel Juncadella, I would absolutely roll over and get my belly tickled by Daniel Juncadella, because you're not going to hold him up. Neither is Bird going to hold Crabb up, because Bird has just been dived by Paul Crabb up the inside of Murray's corner, and he's through up to P4. Bird back down to P5, however, he's looking at coming back down the straight, going into Griffin's Bend.
Yeah, it's not about. I think the thing is, because of how hard it is to overtake here, right? You've got this. You know, you've got 3/4 of a lap. You've got a whole lap, and you've only got a quarter of it where you can actually lose a position. Here, going into turn 1, Bird's going to try and run Crab around the outside. I don't really feel that's going to work. The Irishman would lock up that inside there, and unfortunately for you, you're now under attack from Maxwell, who I believe is just also going to be looking at trying to get past you on the outside. That's going to be brave from Luke Maxwell. Don't run it too wide. Good idea. You know, and now you can't do anything. So you've only got to get through turn 1, down into 2, and then you're leading for the whole of the lap. Get a good run out the dipper and out of Forest Elbow, and they can't get near you anyway. We've seen that all night, how the wing is just basically everybody running nothing. So therefore, nobody can really make a move unless they're about 1.5, maybe 2.2 temps out coming down Forest Elbow. They're going to get you, right? We've seen that already. Darrell Taylor made the move past Phil Jocelyn, 2 temps out, he got him. Everybody outside 2 temps, 2.5 temps, ain't getting anywhere near there. So he's only got really a quarter of the lap to defend. But if you're not going to try, you're not going to gain anything. And Gonzaga's now in 8th. You know, Child is in 7th. And has it really benefited them from not being in the fight when you could have been up front defending just for a little bit of lap? I know Paul LeMay said in YouTube chat it's all about confidence. I get it, I really do. But give it a go. You've run 7 laps of it. You've made it through without getting, you know, taken out. So at least have a crack at it. Oh, Maxwell.
Don't curse it.
Here comes Bird. He's trying to run around the outside of Crab. That's not going to work. The Irishman is not going to give you that room. He locked up there.
Oh, Maxwell's in the wall hard.
Maxwell's in the wall.
Maxwell into the wall hard. That was, I think, rear right tyre onto the gravel grass on the outside of Murray's. Onto the grass. No, it was just on the exit.
Yeah, he
That's
locked
a
up.
strange one.
He locked up all on his own there. And unfortunately, too many beans has put him into the wall. Don't want to be putting them through your right foot, mate, because that's what your car looks like. He's now going to try and hang on from Gonzaga. I don't think he's going to make it through there either. I'd be surprised if Gonzaga didn't clear him, and he did on that run into turn 2. Crab is now trying to pull away from Bird. He's not, tapping the wall. Yeah, that was a definite one on that one. So Bird's bent up his left there as well. And Jamie Bird will be able to try and make a move in on him. You can see Crab's left-hand side is not looking comfortable, and he's not looking comfortable in the car. He's looking a bit loose now for Paul Crab. With that low downforce he's running anyway, there's all the sparks that almost makes it like they run off the wall, but they're not actually. I don't think he's actually touching the wall there, Dan. I've got a funny feeling this wonderful world that we know that produces some mysterious incidents, maybe causing some mysterious wall taps.
Maybe. Well, I've definitely seen a lot of them, but a lot of them also didn't, you know, create any damage, any scratches on the car. Which, from experience, if you scratch your dad's car against the concrete wall in real life, usually it doesn't kind of, you know, magically disappear. So, you know, usually it stays there. So I think some magical contacts happening with the wall. Luckily for these guys, though. But that's also telling you, James, how you know, small these margins are that these drivers are playing with lap after lap after lap. And that makes it even more impressive for them to just get through lap after lap after lap.
Yeah, I know. Don't get me wrong, I love this league. These guys know I love them all, really. I met them all, you know, Paul Clark's place. But I don't know. I think me and Gonzaga need a word. I think we need a conversation.
The thing you do have to do as a slower driver, if you do want to defend, is Maxwell goes past Childer once again. You have to kind of be smart about how you're defending a late launch, though, from Jamie Bird. Last lap, last chance for Jamie Bird. He launched it up the inside. There's contact on the straight. I think Crab not too happy with that dive. Had to move out of the way there into Griffin's Bend. However, both drivers continue their way how they were before. And it's Crab at a Bird, but not too happy, I think, that Crab with what happened.
Yeah, I think the Bird did take a very late lunge. I've got to be honest, though, the door was wide open. I would have gone for it as well. At the end of the day, if you know you're going to be able to stop the SR8 and put it on the brakes and get it round the corner, why not? If he's going to leave that door open, as the saying goes here on the JPB YouTube channel, you're going to get burgled, son. And unfortunately, if you don't want to get burgled, don't leave your front door open, or don't leave a gap like that, because at the end of the day, I would, if I was Jamie Bird, would have made that lunge as well, regardless of where Crab is sat in the championship. As well as we already know, I would have defended like an absolute trooper for all of these, and wouldn't have let any of them through. But there we go. That's just me. John McGutchinson is out in front, leading by about 2 seconds. Final lap of the race, coming round. Looks like he's going to take the victory in race 2. Job done for him. And well done. He cleared Mike Buson and made that move out and got him through. So, you know, unfortunately for him, he could have done with a 3rd place in race 1, but he didn't. But he has wrapped up here the win in Bathurst. There he comes, the Scotsman across the line now. Job done for him. Mike Buson, Simon Edwards in 1st, 2nd, 3rd. Buson still in his favoured 2nd place. He just does not like taking the victory here. Not sure why. Crab comes along the line in 4th as well, with Bird in 5th, Gonzaga 6th. And yeah, I don't know. But well done to the top 4. Stunning job from them. Just let me get on. I'm going to sit here and ponder my own existence and just have my own little whinge as we go along here. That's it
James
for me.
is questioning everything he's thought about. And, well, how long have we been casting for that? 2.5 years, something like that?
Yeah.
He's questioning all that he's seen so far by what George Gonzaga has done so far here at Bathurst. Now, I do agree, if there's one track where you would have a chance of fighting these quick guys, it would be this track, because up the mountain, through the mountain, no one's going to get past. The only thing you need to do, make sure you get a good exit out of Forest Elbow and out of Hell Corner. That's all you need to do.
Yep. And he didn't. So it's tough. Right, what happened to Paul Glover here? Phil Glover, what happened to you, sir? Because it isn't going well for you. I'm not quite sure how. Oh, okay. That's not going to help whatsoever, but you've been off again before that. Where did you go off last time? Because you went off before and given yourself a nice little bit of damage there. There we go. This is Phil's incident going into the cutting. Got a funny feeling he's going to run it in and tap the wall on the exit, maybe? No. He's going to tap it on. Yeah, well, he tapped it on the exit, but didn't do ideal on that one. So never mind, Phil Glover. Not having a good evening there. And he has come across the line and his job done for Phil. I'm sure they'll watch it back, and I'm sure some will throw me a DM after this. James, you are aware I was doing this, or you are aware I was doing that, and I'm going to answer it the same way that I'm going to answer every single one that you send me. Put up a fight. Don't roll over. But John McHutchison is your winner of the feature race. Mike Buson 2nd, Simon Edwards 3rd, Paul Crabb 4th, Jamie Bird 5th, George Gonzaga in 6th, Luke Maxwell 7th in the end, James Child 8th, Darrell Taylor 9th, Phil Jocelyn 10th, Paul Godden 11th, Seth Brown 12th, Phil Glover 13th, David Rolliston out on 14th after an incident with Maxwell in turn 1, and David Beasley there unfortunately did not finish the race. He entered the pit lane and unfortunately for him didn't come back. We can have a look at his start. He didn't really go anywhere, did David Beasley. I've got to be honest. He kind of just, well, he locked up, spun up, and then here he comes now. Oh, got tapped behind David Rolliston. He goes down the order and just loses more. Oh, okay. That's probably not going to help his fight, to be honest. And that could be why Danny lost 14 positions within about the first corner. So, not ideal. But let's have a chat with Mike Buson. We'll bring Mike into the booth here. Mike finished 2nd overall again in his favoured position once more in this championship. Not quite the top step for Buson, but not a bad race evening. Good evening, Mike. How are you, sir? Mike, as fun as this is, you are muted. Mike. Mike. Okay, well, we can't have a chat with Mike Buson because he's muted, and I don't know if he's realised it. Nobody seems to be able to unmute themselves. I brought Paul Crabb in, and he's muted as well. So I'll tell you what we'll do. I'm going to jump down into the interview waiting. Right, Mike, I have got you. You are, I'm in the interview waiting room, so everybody else who's in here as well. Not quite sure why it's muting you all straight away there, so my apologies. But let's start off with Mike. Mike, how are you? 2nd place for you this evening, sir, in the feature race. You know, favourite position so far this season?
Yeah, I seen I sort of was in 1st, and I thought that ain't for me, to be fair. I thought I'd let John go by, you know.
Is that how it was, Mike? You didn't really want to go for a victory?
No, it's I was trying to make it as hard work as I could for John, but obviously once I seen Simon had got into third, I thought to myself, this is not going to work for either of us if I keep making it hard work for both of us. So I thought to myself, John got a run on me, so I made it as easy as I could, so I could keep with John, keep the second, and obviously pick up first if something was to go wrong. But it was semi-strategical.
Oh, so team orders then. I see the Scotsman got on the mic and was like, come on, Mike, shift it, son, I'm your leader.
No, but he
John's in here as well.
like I said before, he has that effect on me. But no, in honesty, full honesty, I'd seen Simon and I thought, second is better than us both losing out to Simon. So yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, mate. So you settle for your favourite position this season then?
Yeah, exactly. I thought first. Like I say, first isn't for me.
Oh, okay, mate. Well done to you again for getting your second place there, mate.
Right, I'm the bridesmaid.
Oh, yeah, no, always the bridesmaid, never the bride there, sir. Thank you so much, Mike, for joining us. Anyone you want to shout out this evening?
Everyone on RRS. Without the guys and the clean, enjoyable racing, it wouldn't draw me back in every week. So, to all of the members of RRS.
Okay, mate. Well, thank you so much there, Mike, for joining us. Let's have a chat with John. John there. How are you, John?
I'm all right, James. How are you?
I'm not bad, mate. I'm not bad at all. Just watched some great racing. Little bit of a slip up coming out the final corner of race 1.
Yeah. I tried for P2, but then I don't know what happened. The rear just spun on me. I thought I had it, and then put the pedal down and away she went. So almost.
Yeah, almost there as well. Well, you got a 4th and a 1st, mate. Championship hopes. What do we think?
I don't know. I'm not really clued up in the point systems, to be honest with you. I'll just keep going every race, try and win every race that I can. See what happens at the end.
Well, mate, that is.
I think I've still got a couple of, stand downs, if you like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I'm sure that you're going to be near or nearabouts, John. Let's be real. You keep putting up this fighting spirit here, mate, and you're definitely going to be there as well towards the end. Thank you so much for joining us. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
A shout out to Mike for obeying team orders.
See, Mike told you he gave you team orders.
Mike's always he's a good team player.
Yeah, he definitely is.
He'll pay me back, don't worry.
Well, not this season, mate. He's fighting for a championship, clearly. He definitely ain't going to do that, is he?
It's not a traditional type Scotsman, I'm sure.
What, the one that stands back from the bar and lets you buy him a drink first?
Yeah.
I'm always first at the bar.
Really?
That's the only one we'll get.
Yeah, well, this is also true, mate. But hey, at least we get one there, John. Cheers, guys, for joining us. Let's have a chat with Mr. Maxwell. Good evening, Luke. How are you, sir?
Yes, not too bad, James. Yes, good, thanks. How are you?
I'm wonderful, mate. Second in race 2. Let's have a chat about that one before we go into 2. Not a bad start to your evening. Got it underway early. Second place there, mate. Well done to you.
Yeah, no, it was a good race, to be honest. I was just happy in Simon's tail. I couldn't quite close in on the straights. I tried a couple of times to get a really good exits, and then even then I was just getting up to kind of 0.1 before braking. So I couldn't really do it. I saw John trying to make it tricky for me right at the end there, but it was all good fun. Happy with that, to be honest.
Well, there we go then. Right, let's have a discussion about race 2, shall we? First off, you and the incident with Mr. David Rolliston.
Yes.
How do you see that?
I think I was sort of fairly well in there, to be honest, and Dave kind of turned in. I saw him coming across and thought, I'll get out of this, but it was just too late there, to be honest. So sorry to Dave. It was not intentional. I thought I had entitlement to the corner there, but it was one of those things, I guess. And it just it messed up the straight, didn't it? Because you had Paul Clark, and I think because Jamie coming flying past me. So so that certainly made it tricky. As the race went on, it was quite hard, and then had a little spin near the end. But to be honest, like I said the other week, I'm not racing for the championship. I'm away the next couple of Thursdays. So it was good. Just there for fun tonight. I do love Bathurst.
Well, if you saw Paul Clark on track, you've done an exceptional job there, sir, because considering I think at the moment he's in Italy watching Bruce Springsteen. So I think it's Paul Crabb you may have seen instead.
Oh, yes.
wasn't Clark.
he's always off somewhere watching Bruce Springsteen, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got his summer tour out, isn't he? But, I wanted to... You did talk about the little spin. I don't think the wall on the last corner would have agreed with you on that one.
Well, yeah, it did put a little dent in the car, but a bit of T-cut, polish, that'd be fine.
Yeah.
Nothing too serious.
All right, mate. Well, there you go. Thank you so much for joining us, bud. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Just the rest of the guys in the league, good luck in the last two races, and I'm sure it's going to be a tight championship. I'll be watching in. So good luck.
Awesome stuff. Let's have a chat with Paul Grab. Paul, good evening to you, sir. How are you? Third in race 1, fourth in race 2. Not a bad evening at all.
It was okay. I looked into third on race 1 as John spun around. But race 2 was just an epic battle all the way through. There's no two ways about it. I got knocked about on the first bit of the first lap, so I was down on top speed. I was down 4 or 5 kph in top speed. So it was a bit of a struggle trying to get past people.
Yeah, but you managed it, mate. I'm surprising. I've got to ask the general consensus to the guys left in here. Was everybody on zero wing? Because nobody really seemed to be gaining any closer going down the Conrod Straight.
Yeah, I was 0.
Yeah, everyone was 0.
Yeah.
0 and long gears here.
Yeah, well, I expected that, Simon. I'm not going to lie. I didn't think you were going to put on anything, to be honest. But yeah, it was.
He's on -2, I expect.
Yeah, he'd remove it altogether if he had an option, mate. We all know that. You know what I mean? But it was a good battle through there, Paul. How hard was it coming through in race 2? Because you haven't got many opportunities to overtake. You probably got about a quarter of a lap to try and get past people when they're on the 2 straights going into 1 and down into the chase.
Yeah, I mean, I was battling with Luke and Jamie Bird, and Luke made a slight error coming out of T1, and I was behind him, and Jamie just came sailing past us, so I pulled him behind Jamie and took his toe, and got past Luke at the same time, and then it was a scrap to get past Jamie, but a fair dues to Jamie, and we had some lots of side by side. Going up the mountain. It was absolutely great stuff. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did actually think he might have made a move on the last lap going into turn 2 there, mate, where he dived up the inside like I've got him good credit. The space was there to have a go at the end of the day, and he did try and make the move, but you managed to hold on going into the cutting.
Yeah, I knew I knew if I was alongside him going around the corner, I'd have no problem going up the hill and keeping left. So he would have no choice but to back out.
Yeah. Well done to you, sir. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Actually, Jamie Bird. Really, I've never. It's a long time since I had so much fun battling with someone. It was just for the last 3 or 4 laps. It's just great. So I really enjoyed it.
Well, it definitely was a great scrap to watch there as well. Let's have a chat with Mr. Edwards. Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much, sir. Thank you for asking. First in the sprint, third in the feature. You happy?
Yeah, apart from them 2 cheating teammates,
I know. I told you Mike would roll over. He was like a puppy getting his belly tickled, wasn't he, when John put on the mic? You know what I mean? He gave it up.
Yeah, I thought that, I could defend in the first race by just getting good exits out of the forest elbow. Plus my normal little extra top speed that I seem to find. So I thought, might be able to hold him up here and try and get his first win, and then that'll allow me to get to him. But he knew my plan in his own head and thought he'd rather fight than air, I think. Because John was a bit too quick, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That's it, no comment.
Yeah, I know. He just literally let him through without a little bit of a fight as well. Being from Somerset, I thought he might have put more of an effort into it. But clearly Mike had different ideas there, Simon, didn't he, really?
He did, yeah. But, if I didn't think I could win, if I thought I was holding somebody up like that and there was somebody coming up that I didn't want to fight with, I might have done the same.
You might not want to watch the broadcast back then, because there might have been a few bits of comments there as well mentioning some of that. Going forward though, Simon, on to Imola we go next week. What's the hope?
Well, I love Imola. Love this track. Love Imola. Gonna have to put some wings on there.
You're not.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's enough twisties in it to need a bit of wing. Yeah, so that might make it more exciting. If it needs wings, then some people put, like Paul Crabb likes to have the downforce when you can get the lap time out of the downforce. Whereas I'll live with the scary car for the same lap time. So we'll see. It should be a good race.
Yeah, should absolutely there as well. Thank you, Simon, for joining me. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
I'll shout out to George for letting everybody past. I don't know why he let everybody past.
That's what I said.
Everybody.
That's what I said. That's exactly what I said in the broadcast. I said he should have put up, because George has got some pace on him. So I reckon he should have put up a bit of a scrap as well. And but he just didn't.
Yeah, he might have been able to finish. He might have got past, but he might have been top 3 by the time we'd all sort of tried to get past.
Yeah, well, he read the book that Mike produced, didn't he? That was the problem, you know what I mean, about rolling over.
All right.
Oh, hello, Mike. I didn't realise you were still here.
Yeah, I'm still listening, don't worry. Write it all down.
Simon, thank you so much for joining us, bud. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
You've just asked me that, and I just said George.
Oh, yes, you did. Sorry, mate. I'm losing it now because I've got Mike in my head at the moment, unfortunately. Right, let's have a chat with the final man here in the booth, Phil Glover. Phil, good evening to you, sir. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks.
Okay, do you want to tell me about your evening? Didn't seem to be going so well and didn't last long in race 1 when you come around the corner and found Jamie Bird in front of you.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to tonight because I had a bit of coaching from Ozzy Stig, and he said to me, as long as you've got the beer can on the throttle, don't worry about the corners, Sheila. So that's exactly what I did. And so I wasn't bad. I was about 158 in. So for me, that's not bad, but it just didn't turn out, did it? And the second race, iRacing decided to kick me off 58 seconds before the start. So suddenly I had to log back on, and then when it logged me back in, I didn't have the right amount of fuel, so I had to do that. So hey-ho, it was still fun, I guess.
Yeah, onwards and upwards, though, Phil. Off to Imola we go next week, sir. You're going to put some practice in? What's your chances?
Well, I'm going to need my Wallace for that one, apparently. It's a bit damp over there at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, according to, I think Paul Clark's over there at the moment, standing in mud watching Bruce Springsteen.
So, I don't know, it's a pretty quick track, isn't it? So, yeah, maybe I'll just leave the beer can on.
Yeah, have a chat with Simon. He'll tell you how to set the car up. I'm sure Simon's good at coming forward with all his secrets, aren't you, Simon? No comment.
I gave Phil the setup. It was only my setup.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, there you go. But Phil, thank you so much for joining us, bud. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Well, to the Aussie Stig, Simon knows what I mean.
Awesome stuff. Well, thank you guys for joining me. I'm going to jump back into the booth. I'll find out why it was muting you all coming into the booth as well. But cheers, guys, and I look forward to seeing you all next week.
Sure.
Cheers, James.
Well, there we go, Dan. We have just had a chat with all the guys. Not entirely sure why it was muting them in the booth there as well, but we've managed to make way. Dan, can you sum up for this evening for us in one sentence, or are you not? Dan?
I can.
Okay.
It was an interesting one. I think a lot of drivers lucky to get through, a lot of wall touches, but in the end, I think a good points haul from McCutcheon too, still in, if I'm correct, with a shot for the championship, and I think very happy there.
Yeah, definitely there as well. But thank you very much, guys, for joining us. That is rounding out tonight's broadcast here from the Radical Race Series live at Bathurst. It's been an absolute epic evening of racing. I've been James Parfitt. He's been Dan Peoples. And as always, take care. Have a great week. And you never know, we may see you on the track sometime. Good night.